Hello everyone, you're listening to the 3 a.m. Talks. This is Abhilasha, your host, and joining me today on the podcast are Sreyakshi and Anushka. Welcome to the show, both of you. It was the morning of July 1st, 2018, in the quiet neighborhood of Burari, Delhi. At first, it seemed like an ordinary Sunday. Shops were opening, people were starting their day. But inside one house, something deeply disturbing had already happened. When neighbors entered the home of a Bhatia family, they found a scene that would shock the entire nation. 10 family members were hanging from an iron grill in the living room, their eyes covered, their hands tied, their mouths taped shut, and in another room, the elderly grandmother lay dead on the floor. 11 lives gone overnight. What happened inside that house? Was it ritual, belief, psychological influence, or something else entirely? Today we explore the Burari case. I'm Abhilasha, and joining me are Sreyakshi and Anushka as we walk through one of India's most haunting mysteries. To understand the tragedy, we first need to understand the family. The victims were members of the Bhatia family who had lived in Burari for almost 2 decades. They were known as a close knit and religious household. The family ran a grocery shop and a plywood business, and neighbors often described them as polite, hardworking, and peaceful.
Yes, and what's important is that nothing about the family seemed unusual. Neighbors said they attended social gatherings, celebrated festivals, and interacted normally with the community. From the outside, it looked like a typical middle class Indian family. In fact, something significant was about to happen in the family. One of the daughters, Priyanka, was preparing for her wedding later that year. So the house was actually in the middle of happy preparations, which makes what happened next even more difficult to understand.
The discovery began with something small. The family's shop did not open that morning. For neighbors, that was strange, because the shop always opened early. Concerned, a neighbor went to check on them. The front door of the house was open. He stepped inside, and what he saw inside the living room was unimaginable. 10 bodies hanging from the ceiling grill, arranged in a circular formation, almost like the roots of a banyan tree.
The positioning of the body shocked investigators. Their eyes were blindfolded, their mouths were taped, their hands were tied behind their backs, and cotton had been placed inside their ears. Meanwhile, in another room, the 77 years old grandmother, Narayani Devi, was found lying on the floor. There were no signs of forced entry, no signs of struggle, which made the scene even more puzzling. But the investigation was about to reveal something even stranger.
During the police investigation, officers discovered several handwritten diaries inside the house. The diaries contained entries written over more than a decade, and what investigators found inside those pages was deeply unsettling.
The writings described spiritual rituals and instructions that the family had been following, but one particular ritual mentioned something called Pad Tapasya. According to the entries, family members were instructed to perform certain action during rituals. Things like tying hands, covering eyes, and standing on stools during the night. And shockingly, this instruction matched the exact way the bodies had been found.
The diaries also suggested that Lalit, one of the sons, believed he was receiving spiritual guidance from his deceased father. Over time, the family reportedly began following these instructions as part of their spiritual practices.
Initially, the police considered several possibilities: murder, mass suicide, or a ritualistic event. But investigators soon found something important. There was no sign of forced entry, no indication that an outsider had entered the house. Forensic reports also showed that no sedatives or poison were found in the bodies, which suggested that the family members may have participated voluntarily.
Eventually, investigators suggested that the incident may be connected to shared belief systems and psychological influence within the family. Some psychologists studying the case mentioned the possibility of shared psychosis, a rare condition where delusional beliefs spread among closely connected individuals. But even with these explanations, many questions remain unanswered. The Burari case remains one of the most unsettling tragedies in recent Indian history. Not just because of what happened, but because it happened inside a home that appeared completely normal.
It raises difficult questions about belief, influence, and the complex psychologies within families. And it reminds us how important it is to approach such incidents with sensitivity, understanding, and awareness.
Even years later, the Burari house stands as a quiet reminder of a mystery that continues to fascinate and disturb people across the country. Thank you for listening. I'm Abhilasha and I was joined by Sreyakshi and Anushka.